everybody, welcome back to Taji's World of Books and welcome to another book series recommendation video. Hi, so as you can see, I'm going to film this in some clips. I have already filmed and talked about Ivan and Snow as a part of my Kingmaker series review, so I'm going to go ahead and refer to those clips. You're going to see what I say about these particular books, and then we're going to come back and we're going to finish up the Underworld series, okay? So I'll see you in a minute. Hi, so I want to hop on and really quickly talk about Ivan. This is the first book in the Underworld series that is, I have not yet figured out how it's connected to the Kingmaker series, but my understanding is that I'm supposed to read this next. So I think I need to get through all of the books, and then I'm going to go back and kind of report on how they're all connected. But Ivan is the first book in this series, and it comes after the Rebel, right? So it goes the Rebel, then Ivan, then Snow, then we go back to the Kingmaker series, Bully, and I need to get through all of those, and then I'll be able to see how they're all connected. Okay, so Ivan is part of the Russian Bratva, and the book starts off, okay, so let me say this. The heroes in this story are already like super alpha dudes, right? The women are definitely fierce. It is sexy, sexy, sexy time. It's hot. You know, there's definitely lots of thieves, mafia princesses, the Bratva, like, you know, family connections, so on and so forth. And so Ivan is very close to his brother Dominic, and they are running a syndicate in the Bratva, and this is set in a part of Russia that's outside of Moscow. Don't remember which part. And Sloane is raised by her father, who is an ex-CIA agent who has clearly gone mentally insane as a result of the kind of work that he does. So he's become very paranoid and increasingly strange and odd in his behavior, but he has raised her to be a fierce warrior and an operative and a CIA agent and somebody that is tactical and has lots of skills. So as a result, what is she going to do with those skills but grow up to be a mercenary and grow up to be someone who basically takes contract hits for money? And so that's exactly what happened. You don't know who the person who's hiring you. It's done through IP addresses, and it keeps the person who's hiring and the person who's the broker are not known to you. It's all done in secret. So through IP addresses, Sloane gets this contract to kill Ivan, and she goes out to do that work, and she, stakes him out. She finds out all about him, and she discovers the best way, and she's like, look, I'm a female, I'm not as strong as him, but I am crafty and I am highly trained, and I'm gonna have to take him out in a specific way, because if it comes down to hand-to-hand combat with him, it's not gonna go over well for me. So I'm gonna avoid that at all costs. And so she crafts a plan, and she goes in to take down Ivan. And it wouldn't be a book if she killed him, so she doesn't. She's not successful in her plan, and he takes her captive. And of course, she is attracted to him, and he is attracted to her, and the story unfolds from there. And so there is lots of sexy time. There's definitely some spanking that goes on in here. There's an instant connection between these two. They are equally matched, and the circumstances sort of evolve from there, and they develop a trust and a respect and a friendship and a commitment, and they go after the bad guys together, and it's a very, very interesting story. So I like how she crafted the tale. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5 star, maybe in a 3.75. I'm not as invested. I guess I just coming off the heels of the Rebel. Like, I just love the Kingmaker series so much. Like, for me and my taste, I think the Kingmakers is like right up there. So when I come off of that and I come to this, I'm like, oh, I don't know. It's like not quite as exciting for me, or it's not quite as riveting, and it doesn't have all those angsty points that I want. I want a little bit of angst. I don't want crazy angst, but I want enough, and this doesn't have enough angst in it for me. It kind of felt a little bit insta-lovey to me. Not like it is definitely, it's dark, it's a captive, right? Like, but they hop right into like, you know, intimate situations when he's extracting information and he uses sex to extract information. And I'm cool with it, but at the same time, like for me to suspend disbelief and be really into the story, it was a little instant for me. So I just wasn't feeling it quite that much. But the next book in the series is Snow. So I'm gonna go over and read Snow, and then I'm gonna come back and hop on and tell you what I think about that. See you over there. Hi, you guys. So I noticed because I was like pushing my head back, my hair sticking up. All right, so I just finished Snow, and this is Sophie Lark's second book in the Underworld series as it connects to the Kingmaker series. And this story is about Snow and Sasha, and I absolutely loved it. And I have a theory. I think Ivan, the previous book, is a very good book, and I think it weaves a really complex tale between the characters, Sloane and Ivan, in that story. However, what I think is happening is I have a hangover effect. I'm very susceptible to this idea. So I finished The Rebel, which, you know, I absolutely love the Kingmaker series. Like, it's probably one of my all-time favorites at this point. So I finished the Kingmaker series, or I finished The Bully in the Kingmaker series, loved it, was crazy excited to go into the next book, and had to change course to read Ivan. And Ivan is the first book in the Underworld series, and it's a whole different cast of characters, and it has a completely different dynamic. And so I think what happened is that I had a hangover effect, and so I was like, oh, it's not the next book in the Kingmaker series, so it's not quite as good. So I said to Jen, I was like, I bet you if I read Snow, I'm probably going to like Snow more than Ivan. And sure enough, I absolutely did. And it is a story of an underdog. It's about an underground fighting ring that is run by the Russian Bratva in St. Petersburg. And Sasha is a medical student. She has just graduated from medical school, and she comes home to start doing her residency. And she learns that her family's business is now in major jeopardy. She notices some things about her father right away, that he's got a completely different vehicle that's really run down. His normally well-kept appearance is very bedraggled and disheveled. And so there's some signs that something is going on. When she walks into her parents' restaurant that's normally pristine and well-kept, is very, you know, there's stains on the tables, you know, servers that they've had forever and ever are gone. And so to make a long story short, she basically confronts her father and she's like, what's going on? I can tell that there's something up. What's going on? And he discloses that the family business is in jeopardy and they're in debt of like something like 90 million ruble to the Bratva. And she learns that this occurs because her mother's extravagant spending, you know, habits, as well as her father's inability to tell her mother, who is like a Russian princess, like, no, we can't afford that. And so she gets them in a tremendous amount of debt. And so her father says, there's no way that I could ever pay off all of the debt that I owe the Bratva. So to make a long story short, she goes to Krupin, who is the Bratva boss that all this money is owed to, and she basically sells herself. And she says, I have just graduated from medical school. I could be of use to you. You know, I could really help you. And so he does the calculations, and he's like, fine. He's like, the average emergency medicine doctor in Moscow makes about 50,000 rubles a month. And so you will be in indentured servitude to me for 20 years. And, you know, your father will sell his restaurant to me and he will continue to run it, but it will be serving all of the Bratva. And so her life begins as such, and it's a horrible, horrible existence. So to make a long story short, she then, because she is serving the fighting ring, she meets Snow, who is like a big hulking beast of a man. And their relationship is beautiful and wonderful and so sweet and so loving. And there is another character named Stefano, whom, you know, is doing business with Krupin, and they make a deal behind the scenes because Stepanov is very taken by Sasha and wants her, clearly, because she's so innocent. She's this porcelain white skin. Her hair is almost white blonde. It's like silver. She's very well, like, she's like this built like, you know, a Greek goddess in this time when like skinny is all in. So she has like curves and she's just gorgeous. And so Stepanov has taken a liking to her. And so he makes a deal with Krupin that he's going to sell her virginity to him, you know, to help pay off the debt. And Snow is like, come hell or high water, is that going to happen? That absolutely is not going to happen. Regardless of what you say or what you do, she is mine. I have claimed her, I have marked her, she belongs to me. And so again, these are these incredible alpha heroes that are gentle giants to the women that they love, and these really fierce and feisty and strong women. And so Sasha is very different than Sloane. Sloane we met with Ivan, right? Like Sloane is Ivan's match in every way. Whereas Sasha is the brains behind the operation, and she's very meek and mild, but she's fierce and she's strong, but she does it in an elegant and graceful way. And one of the things that Snow says about her is, how can this aristocrat, this prince, this Russian princess, whom comes from, I'm used to being with like bar sluts and whores, you know, how can this person be attracted to me or be with me? Like, I can tell by the friends that she hangs out with and how she carries herself. I'm a gutter rat and she is a goddess. But she loves him nonetheless, and they love each other fiercely and unconditionally. And it is an absolutely beautiful story. I absolutely loved it in so many ways. I gave it a 5 out of 5 star for sure. And at the end of this book, and I haven't given away really any spoilers, but at the end of this book, it does tell you that Snow is going to come up in the Kingmaker series. So from my understanding, you absolutely have to, if you want to get the best reading experience and you want to really understand the Kingmaker story and what's going on with the Kingmakers, you needed to read Ivan and Snow to get that dynamic. Okay, so you just saw my opinions or my thoughts or my reading vlog, if you will, on me reading Ivan and Snow. Let me say this. These are the first 2 books in an 8-part or 8-book series, The Underworld, which is like, I'm going to say, a spin-off of the Kingmakers and the Brutal Birthright series, more the Kingmaker series. And I'm going to say that these books were written, it's so odd, right? And I'm trying to wrap my mind around it. These books were written before Kingmakers and Brutal Birthright, and they're written in that these are the most recent, and then the latter books were written first, and the earlier books, so like as you go through the series, like these 2, Black and Luca, were written first, and then as you work your way up, they're written more recently, and therefore more accurately connected to the Kingmaker series and the Brutal Birthright series, as well as they get better as you go. So these earlier books, you're gonna see me like, I did not like them at all. They were like, I was kind of like, this is pointless, but this is her newer work, or I mean her older work. And then as she worked her way up, she started to weave the story more closely related to the Kingmaker series. And as you go this way, they get better and better and better as you go, okay? So, and I'm also going to say that Ivan's story with Sloane, as it relates to, and you see, refer to my other video where I talk about in the Kingmaker series where to read this in relation to the Kingmaker series, as you get through and you get to the Spy and you get to other books, you're going to start to see like, oh my God, like Ivan and Sloane are phenomenal. They're an amazing, amazing couple. An amazing couple. Like, this book is just like an introduction. It just whets the palate. It just gives you a little something about them. But as you go in the story and you hear more about who Ivan is and who Sloane is, man, I'm telling you, these 2 are like power couple beyond power. They're like next level, and their love is epic. Epic. Okay, so that's gonna be a little bit of a departure in terms of what I said in the previous clips, but again, like as I said, I have to get through the series to kind of understand and relate and like make sense of it all. So as a whole, when you get to the end of the Kingmaker series and you read this in relation, you're going to absolutely love Ivan and Sloane as much as I do. Okay, so then the next book in the series is Roman, And this is Roman and Mila's story, and as I said, she starts to connect the books better. So Mila is the sister of Sasha from this story, and this is an enemies to lovers. And when I say these are enemies to lovers, they are absolutely enemies to lovers. And I'm not going to go into great detail about these books because I could be here forever and a day, and you guys don't want like 45-minute videos. Like, that's just ridiculous. Like, I just need to keep it short. So they're enemies to lovers. They go to school together. Mila, as we know from Snow, her parents owned a restaurant, and because of getting in debt and in over their head, they got involved with the Bratva. And so Mila looks at it like the Bratva has destroyed my family and stole my family's restaurant. And Roman is a part of the Bratva, and so she sees him as a spoiled prince. And so they hate each other, and they've done things to torture one another over the course of their schooling time. And so they just absolutely hate each other. So fast forward some years, and they have graduated, and they literally bump into each other at a coffee shop. And it just so happens that Mila now is working, or is getting ready to start working for a newspaper as a reporter, as a journalistic reporter. And Roman is opening a hotel. And as a result of him opening this hotel, report on, like, you know, whether or not this hotel is worthwhile or not. And she sees this as an opportunity for revenge. And the story unfolds from there. And I think the story is decent. It's good. It's okay. It's not great. I would give it like a 3.75 to a 4-star, something in those lines. But that's Roman. And we're going to set Roman aside because we're going to come back to him because he's going to relate in a minute. The next book in the series, this is Dom, and this is Dom's story with, it's Dominic Petrov and his story with Laura. And Dom is the brother to Ivan, okay? And Laura is basically a daughter of a local police official. And this is a kidnapping situation where they kidnap her, and Dom is quite taken with her, and they find out that they kidnap her because she is the daughter of the police commissioner, but some things unfold and it never is the way that you anticipate. I think that this is one of the best books in all of these stories, outside of these two. Like, these 3 books, Ivan, Snow, and Dom are like the absolute best books in these series, hands down. So Dom, and you get to see more of Ivan and Sloane in this book as well. And so Dom and Laura's story sort of evolves, and nothing is ever as it seems. And I gave this like a 4.5 out of 5 stars, so definitely well worth it. The next book in the series is Anton, and it's Anton's story with Violet. Okay, Violet is the illegitimate daughter of Roman's father. So she is part of I think this is the Tetra, I can't remember Roman's last name. Like, Roman's last name is Terra something. It's something, I can't remember. But anyway, so they discover that Roman, who is supposed to be the sole heir, okay, of his family's fortune, there is a long-lost daughter named Violet, and Violet is brought into the fold, okay? So in this book, in Roman's book, Violet is already in the fold, and Roman and she are working together to open a restaurant, but this is the prequel to that. This is what happens, how they find her, who discovers her, how she's brought in, and how they really come to be working together. So really, it should be read this book first, then Roman comes, but that's not how it works out in the order of the way that the books are written, if that makes sense. It's very strange. So this is Anton and Violet's story. Like I said, Violet is the sister of Roman. This really comes first in the timeline of chronology, and then Roman's books happen, but that's not how you read it. Okay, so then we go, this is like a complete departure from where we've been going, right? And then you jump off into Nikolai. And Nikolai is now, it's Nikolai's story with Nadia. In this book, you meet Nadia as Violet meets Nadia, as one of the cousins of Roman, right? So you meet Nadia. And Nadia is like footloose and fancy free and doing her own thing. She's engaged to this other playboy dude. but he's kind of a jerk. He's kind of an alcoholic and a drug addict and like a fuck boy, a party boy, like whatever. And so her mother passes away, and as a result of her mother passing away, she goes back to Moscow to learn about her past and learn about her mother's past, and some things are unfolded between two families that are enemies from birth, star-crossed. Like, it is literally Romeo and Juliet. It's the Capulets and the Montagues, or Capulets and the Montagues, or whatever they're called. This is their story, and the story unfolds in leaps and bounds. So this is a decent, I gave it a 3-star. It's fun and it's interesting, but like I said, these 3 books are like really, really connected. And then the story, the series just goes completely awry. Like, you're just like, what the heck? Like, is this now? So then the next book in the series is Luca, and this is a heist romance, and this is about Byron Black, and Byron is the brother of Violet, whom you see in these 2 books, and so now he gets a story over here, and it's his story with Luca and Alex Moore. And so basically Alex is going to have to decide between Luca and Byron Black. Then the final story is the conclusion of this book, which is Black, and how that all wraps up. And I'm not going to say like what happens. There's a love triangle here, and there's a conclusion of how things work out, and so that's the story here. These 2 books, I don't give a shit. I came into this because I wanted to read about the Russian Bratva, and I wanted to read more about what was happening in Kingmakers, and I wanted to read more about the predecessors for the Russian Bratva, and this is, I don't give a shit. Like, who are these? I gave this a 2-star, and I gave this a 3-star, and that was being generous. I just didn't care. So, let me say this about the Underworld series. The Underworld series, if you're going to read these books, the only books, in my opinion, that are worthwhile reading are these books. Ivan, Snow, Dom, and Nikolai. All of the rest of it is, and maybe even Roman is decent, right? But all the rest of it is like, it's pointless. Like, these 3 for sure, like in relation to the Kingmaker series, because it relates. Dom, because Dom is just a good story, and it's Ivan's brother, so you see Ivan and Sloane in there, and Dom. Snow you need to know about because that's, you know, significant and relevant, and so that's definitely, you know, part of, you know, the Russian Bratva, and you need to know who Snow is in relation to the Kingmaker series. And then these, just because, you know, Roman and Nikolai, you're still in the world of the Bratva, and you're still like kind of understanding, but if you don't want to read these, don't. But these I say for sure. But the rest of it is like, whoo, you know, I would say overall, because this is some of her first work, overall the series is about a 3. But if you are going to read these 3 books, these are 4 and 5-star for sure. So take it for what it's worth, but that's my opinion on it. But like I said, Brutal Birthright, the Kingmakers is like, she's doing such a great job, and I hope that she continues to do that and continues to write, you know, the way that she's writing in the Kingmakers. It's super fun, it's super fascinating, it's just a great story. But you can see how she has evolved as a writer over time. So, you guys, that is all that I have to say today. Happy holidays. I hope that you guys are spending an amazing time with your family and you're enjoying the time off and life is treating you well. You know, I upload at least 3 times a week, preferably Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So please hit the like button and the bell notification button so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. And you guys, I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and happy holidays and enjoy. Bye.